Hi, y'all. Welcome to Lulu Ladybug Creations YouTube channel. In this tutorial, I'll be redoing my grandson's tumbler. This is the finished product, but I had to actually go through remaking it. I think it was about 3 times. Anyways, welcome to my channel. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share so that I can. So that the algorithm can go up on my channel. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I don't know if you can see it, but first of all, I think this was probably my second fabric tumbler. But see right there is some rust that I guess water must have got in it, and it seeped through and under the epoxy, and it rusted up the fabric. So I am going to redo this whole cup. What I'm going to do is use acetone, and I'm going to let it sit. I'm going to score the fabric tumbler. I'm going to score it. I'm going to heat it and let it soak in the acetone under foil for about 2 nights is what I did. And these are the supplies that I'm using: a gallon Ziploc bag, foil, napkin, acetone, and I'll put some heat to it. So I'm going to go ahead and get it ready. I'm not too sure what happened as far as how water might have gotten under the epoxy, but what it did was I probably didn't seal it right. That little silver thing too, I take it off now. I don't know why I didn't take it off then, but going forward from this video, I believe I started removing that little metal piece. It does take me a minute because it is metal. Some of them are like a silver sticker, but this one from Stainless Depot is metal. So let's put some heat to it. Here in a minute, I'll be putting some heat to it with a little torch, and after I put some heat to it, what I'm hoping what it does is it melts the epoxy and makes it to where I can score it, which is what I'm fixing to do here. And you'll see that's the heat I'm putting to it. Okay, so what I did need to do was what I did need to do was I had to add some butane fuel to my torch. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm filling it up. I guess it must have been low, but anyways, I'm going to speed up the camera now because I thought I speeded it up the camera, but I guess I didn't. Anyways, heating up the tumbler, making it pretty good, putting heat to it pretty good so I can score it. And what it does is it allows the acetone to seep under the fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and let you watch this part, and I'll come back here shortly. Okay, so the cup has been scored with the blade. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to soak the napkin in the acetone, cover it with foil, and place it in the bag. please be sure that when you're working with chemicals that you use your protective gear. In the video, I'm doing the whole voiceover, but while I was working on this cup, I did wear my mask. And of course, you see here, I'm wearing my medical gloves. But yes, please be sure that when you are working with chemicals, you do, even with epoxy, that you do wear your mask. And that's what I didn't add in my description. And I will do that next time. I'll add the mask that, you know what? I'll go back in and I'll edit it before. I'm sorry. I'm doing the voiceover after the fact. But anyways, I am going to wrap it up in foil, making sure it's covered tightly, put it in the bag, and then let it sit for 2 days. Okay, so it's been 2 days and I had to strip another cup. That's the cup I'm pulling out, but of course I'm not going to show that in this video. That's for another time. But my grandson's cup has been sitting in the acetone and foil for 2 days. Putting on my gloves because of course you want to use your protective gear. And let's see how well it did. Now remember, the acetone is going to help peel off all that epoxy. And you can see already, it's going to take it off in one good sweep because it was fabric. If it were, if the fabric wasn't against the stainless steel, it is a little bit harder for it to take off because of course there's probably glitter. Glitter is harder to take off, but this was easy because it was fabric. Fabric on stainless steel, it made it easy. So I'm going to just clean up my area and get started on the tutorial. There was some little rust dots, I guess, in the stainless steel, so I'm going over it with sandpaper block. I don't know what grit it is, but I'm making sure that I double check it and make sure going over the cup with taking off this, goodness, what am I trying to say? Take off the rust spots. Okay, we are going to measure the material. This is all the material I have left. So what I'm going to do here is just measure it just by rolling it over the material and cutting what I need. And what I'll do after this is I'm using Mod Podge to adhere the fabric to the tumbler. Okay, so I'm going to trim off all the excess fabric from what I have left on the tumbler, and I'm going to cover the entire tumbler with Mod Podge, and I think I might have done maybe 3. I don't remember exactly, but maybe 3 coats of the Mod Podge. And in between the coats, I used my little air dryer, the heat gun, to dry it off. So this will be the first good coat of Mod Podge that I'm gonna cover the tumbler with. And what I'm gonna do is, you'll see I'll stop doing the voiceover because I'm gonna speed up the camera and do each coat of Mod Podge. I had too much fabric, so I scored it with the wax pencil that I use my rhinestones with, and I am trimming off the excess fabric. If I'm not mistaken, I believe I'm already on, this is the 3rd coat of Mod Podge that I'm working in right now. All right, so it's been a day. I've allowed the Mod Podge to dry. Now what I'm going to do is use this cutting tool that I got on Amazon, and I'm going to trim off the top and the bottom of the fabric so that I can have more of, I guess at the top it would be like, so that the epoxy adheres to the actual stainless steel part of the tumbler, and hopefully this will allow it not to soak up water or trap water in between when it's getting washed. But anyways, I'm going to cut off the bottom and the top of I don't even know how I don't know measurements as far as how much I took off. I know the setting on the cutting tool is at the lowest, so because you can raise it up and cut off more, but it's at the lowest setting. I just wanted to trim the bottom and the top, not too much, just enough so that the epoxy can cure to the tumbler. Okay, so here's where the fun begins, because I'm gonna tape off the edge. I'm probably ahead of myself here for a second, but I'll get back to it in a second. I'll tell you the issue that I had. But I'm gonna tape off the bottom. That way I can paint the stainless steel portion. The first, originally I didn't have the bottom painted. I had it just stainless steel. Because it wasn't covered in epoxy, that could have been one reason why it wasn't sealed properly. I didn't seal it right because I didn't put epoxy over the entire cup. I don't know, but we're going to try to work it out this time again with going a different route. So what I'm going to do is I'm taping off the bottom, and I'm going to paint it brown. I believe it was a brown that I had. And I'm actually going to mix some brown mica powder into the epoxy. So I'm going to paint it. Then, what did I do here? Choosing the color brown that I want, and I'm not too sure exactly which brown I picked. I think it was coffee. I have tan. I think I changed coffee to tan, and this is tan now. But you'll see I mix the mica powder. I'll paint it, mix the mica powder into the epoxy. So I'm going to let it dry and paint it brown, let it dry, and then seal it with mica powder at the bottom. This is where I noticed that it had, even after the I don't know what, I guess the first time with it being rusted, the tumbler's having rust issues, because I had to redo that whole, that was the second redo that I had to do. And I'm pointing to the little rust spots. There's a lot of little rust spots, and I know you can't see it on the camera, but all that brown that I did at the bottom, see, I'm showing you here, and I know you can't see it, but there are a lot of little rust dots that came through on the fabric. And this was from putting the fabric directly on the stainless steel with Mod Podge. And I'm going to try it again. We're going to try this again. This is that was the second attempt. Well, I'm sorry, that was actually, yeah, the second attempt at covering this cup with fabric. So here we are again. This is the fun part. Starting over. Sorry, my phone started ringing and I'm here recording. We're going to sand it down again. We're going to paint it. This time I'm going to paint the entire cup brown and seal the entire cup with epoxy and over the brown with and mica powder. Sorry. I'll speed it up here shortly. But yes, sand it down, repaint it entirely with brown, seal it with epoxy mixed with mica powder. Brown, I believe it was the tan mica powder that I used. What you see me doing here with the paint is I'm trying not to have so many brush strokes, noticeable brush strokes, because I don't want it to be shown under the epoxy. So I'm going over it. I think 3 times I went over it with the brown paint to cover it up. Okay, so the paint on the tumbler has dried, and now I'm going to get the epoxy ready. Illuminite, part A and part B. Epoxy, mix it. I mix my epoxy for 3 minutes before I actually put it on the cup. But once I get my epoxy mix, I'm going to add the mica powder to the epoxy. And then I'm going to cover the entire cup with the epoxy mix. So I didn't mention how much epoxy I used. I used 2.5B, 2.5A, total 5 milliliters of epoxy. And then mix it with the mica powder. I add the mica powder after, after I pour the epoxy, but before I mix it, I believe is what I did. The entire cup with my A and B, part A and part B. Sorry, my little dog here doesn't want me talking on the recorder. Anyways, sorry, excuse me. Cover the entire cup with my epoxy and my mica mix, and I'm going to let it sit overnight and cure. Okay, so it's the next day. My epoxy has cured. Brown looks really pretty with the mica powder. It gives it a really nice shimmer. I might have to do another cup with something else that has to do with the brown, and I really like that color. Anyways, so here we go again. I'm going to measure out the fabric and redo the whole process again. So this is, what are we on? Attempt number, is this 3? I don't know. 2 or 3. I don't know. But anyways, we're gonna, you know what? And I don't do measurements. I could maybe later on when I get a little bit more comfortable with speaking on the mic and doing the voiceover, that I will give you precise measurements of what I use, and right now it's not going to be it. I'm measuring it by rolling the cup, putting my finger, cutting off. That normal part right there is where I would normally cut off. I leave on the until I cut it off from the cup, but I'm trying to minimize how much cutting I do. So here we go again, Mod Podge. Getting it covered, making sure that it's adhered to the cup. This is attempt, 2 or 3 maybe. So I will let it play through. I don't even remember how many coats of Mod Podge I put on this cup at this point. But we'll see. And you know what? And if you've made it this far into the video, thank you. I hope you continue to watch to the end. The cup turned out really cute at the end, so please stay with me. And if you haven't already, it helps with the algorithm. Like my page, hit a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. I promise I'll get better at video editing, video making, whatever. I'll get better, promise. But anyways, I'm trimming off the fabric, and here we go again with the whole process again. Y'all did notice at this point I'm not wearing gloves, and it's just from the frustration of having to redo it again because it developed the little rust dots again on there. I don't know what the deal is with that. I guess from the first time of it getting rusted under the fabric that it messed up the cup, which is why I covered it with paint this time. Hopefully that will help it. So I'm gonna give it a couple of dries over with the heat gun, give it a couple of more tries of covers of Mod Podge, and again we're gonna let this dry overnight. After I don't know how many, this is already the first coat of Mod Podge that I've already done, and I don't remember exactly how many coats I did this time around. I guess if I used actual measurements, I would know how much fabric to actually use, but that's okay. I'm trimming it off, and I believe I trimmed it off again after this time. So 2 trims, and you know, I do have a little what is it, a waist measurement tape that gives you the precise measurements when you know, for weight loss. Anyways, I should have used that. I'll use real measurements going forward. I'll try to, at least. But anyways, cover this up with Mod Podge, dry it up. I believe this is the 2nd coat, maybe 3rd coat already. Yes, we'll get this covered up, and I'll clean up the bottom too toward the end after it's dried. So it looks like I got some little air bubbles, air pockets underneath that. That's what I was doing with my nail. I was trying to get those little air bubbles out. And this is what. Now, are y'all counting with me? Is this 3 coats of Mod Podge? I've lost track. So it's giving me a little bit of trouble because I see air pockets and it's really bothering me. I've already had it with this cup, but we're gonna keep on going. I should have named part of this video how to dry your Mod Podge on a tumbler. I'm kidding. So what, we're on 3 or 4. I've lost count. And I did go over the bottom and the top, and it does look messy right now, but I'm trying to get it sealed. I'm trying to get the Mod Podge under the, I'm sorry, not sealed, under the fabric, to make sure that it gets in there really good. But here we are. I think this is the last coat of Mod Podge that I have for this cup, for this this part of the video. All right, so I want to say this is the last, and I'm double checking it's the last coat of Mod Podge. I'm going to let it dry overnight, and then we'll come back to it. And here we are. It's been drying overnight. And what I'm going to do, I don't know if you can see, but I guess because it's brown paint that I used, you can see a lot of little air pockets. And I know you can't see it in the camera, but there's a lot, more than I wanted. And this is the last material that I have, literally. This is all I have. And the reason why I'm showing it to you is because here we're gonna go with attempt number, what is it, 3 of redoing the cup. Hence how not to make a fabric tumbler. This is, I just had so much trouble with this cup, but because I used brown paint and because it shone dark through the fabric, you can see that there was white, not white, you can see the air pockets that got trapped under the tumbler, under the fabric, sorry. So here I go, we're gonna try again. This is the last attempt that I'm gonna make at trying to fix this cup, but I'll let it play through here in just a few seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that, the fabric here. And I'm measuring it right here. I'm using my measurement to make sure I have the evens, the edges even. Sorry, I can't even talk. Hopefully I'll get better at talking on voiceovers. But anyways, scoring, I've had it. I'm going to score it down, and I'm going to remove the fabric, and we're going to start over. So part of the tumbler, when I was going through cutting this fabric off, some of the paint got peeled up. I'm not going to use the brown again. I know I'm measuring it against the brown paint, but I'm not going to use the brown again. What I'm doing is I'm going to mark off the areas of where the ends are to the fabric, and my plan is to tape it off and cut that part of the brown paint off, peel it off. Because what I'm going to do is use that portion, paint that portion green, and I believe the green I used, or I'm about to use, is called Clover, and it's folk art. It's matte from, I bought it from Hobby Lobby. But anyways, I'm measuring it, my type of measuring, and I'm gonna keep the cup most of the cup brown, but that part where it's gonna go under the fabric, I'm gonna peel off that brown because the brown didn't work under the fabric. So we're gonna try it with green, but I'm measuring off the part that got some of the brown got peeled up with when I was removing the fabric. So you'll see here shortly, I am going to score it and I'm going to peel off the paint, and here we go. This is my last attempt at making this cup. This isn't excuse me, this isn't the green I ended up using. I bought this particular one that you see on the screen right now, clearance, and it was really watery. I don't buy clearance paper. But here I go with the actual color that I'm going to end up using. So that was what, 3 coats of green that I used. And peeling up that blue tape, I seen that I scratched the brown paint. I'm gonna try to cover it up, but guess what, folks? Guess what's gonna happen? I was done with this cup at this point. So that green, the 3 layers that I just put, I said forget it. We're gonna take it off and we're gonna start completely from the bottom. Keep in mind, we're already, what, almost toward the end of the video. Well, not really, but we've done past halfway through. And this is not working for me. It's not working for me. This is how not to make a fabric tumbler. So we're gonna peel off all the brown, and we're gonna start from a completely bare stainless steel tumbler and start over. And I know I said earlier that I was at the last of making the cup, but it wasn't. It wasn't the end. We're redoing it once again. The bottom of the cup was a little bit harder to get all that paint off, but I'm going to do my best. I'm trying to scrape off the most that I can, and here I'm not using alcohol, I'm using acetone to clean that bottom part off. But I'm trying my best to scrape off as much as I can, because you know, the way the tumbler is made at the bottom, it's got, you know, the little ridge that goes in, the little concaves in. So it's harder to make to get the blade flat. So I'm pretty much having to scrape it off with the tip of the blade. And I'm going to get as much as I can off, then I'll use acetone to clean the rest off. All right, my friends, we're gonna redo this paint on the tumbler in all green, and I don't remember how many coats of green I actually did, but in between coats, I know I dry it with the heat gun. And the reason why I'm putting more than one coat is because once it dries, you'll see how transparent it is. And the stainless steel is shown through the paint. So that's why I put more than one coat. So what I noticed I didn't, and I thought I did. I put 2 coats of green, and I didn't dry it with the heat gun in between coats like I would normally have done it. But it's fine. I seen what I did was I put my paint in a little thicker. So anyways, I'm using 5 milliliters of Alumilite Fast Quick Cure epoxy, 2.5 of both A and B each, and mixing it for 3 minutes. And I have my little timer there set for 3 minutes. Now see, that's the last of the material that I have, and you've seen what I started off with. So I hope it works this time. And if you please stick with me, the ending, the finished product is good. So stay with me. Anyways, I'm gonna cover up the cup with the epoxy mixture with mica powder. Let it cure overnight, and we'll be back after it's cured to apply the fabric. All right, so this is the last part of the fabric that I have. I'm making sure and trimming it off to make sure I have even straight lines. So it's going to be half, the cup's going to be half of material and half epoxy with mica powder. So I'm making sure that I have enough coverage and of Mod Podge. So if you notice, once it gets a little bit further down the video, the edges of the material, because I'm going over the edge with the Mod Podge, and it'll start to get messy looking, but it's fine, because once I have all the coverage I want of Mod Podge on the cup, I'll go back before, when I'm finishing up, I'll go back in and I will clean up the edge of the dried Mod Podge from the cup. So I think I used, maybe 3 coats of Mod Podge, I'm not too sure. But right there, what I'm doing with the end of the brush is I'm seeing little air pockets, and I'm scratching it in, scraping it to try to get the air pockets out. But you do see how it's clumping up at the end of the material, which is fine. I just want to make sure that I put a good seal of Mod Podge on the fabric, and I clean it up at the end. So I'm drying up the fabric and I'm trying to pop any little bubbles that I see, and I believe this might be the 4th coat of Mod Podge, if I'm not mistaken. So what I'm going to do is let it, after I've finished with the Mod Podge, I'm going to let it dry overnight, and we'll come back tomorrow to finish the cup up. I believe that's my next step, is the next adding the, I don't know why I'm getting tongue-tied, but I am. After the Mod Podge dries overnight, then I will seal it again with epoxy, part A, part B. We'll do it again, and once it's done, we'll finish the cup. Okay, so here we are the next day, and what I'm doing now is, remember I had all that glue on the edge of the fabric, and I said I was going to come in and clean it up, so I'm trimming it very carefully to get the glue up. See how that's all the excess glue that I left. I wanted to make sure I had a good seal on the end of the fabric, but here I am cleaning it up on both ends. I'm cleaning it up both ends. Okay, my friends, we are going to use my edging tool once again to cut both at the bottom and the top of the cup. I have it set down to the lowest setting of the cutting tool. I know there's some measurements on there. I don't know. I didn't pay attention to what it is. I just know I have it at the very lowest setting. So I am going to trim the edges, or I'm sorry, cover the edges with washi tape. I'm using a black metallic washi tape, and then I'm going to use a brown metallic washi tape. And I'm going to get all the edges covered with the washi tape, and I'm going to use 2 layers. I'm using the the wider layer of black, and then up top of that I'm going to use the narrower of the brown, and get all the trimmings done on this. And I did go in, I cut out 3, hold on just a second, I think I got it here. It's 3, I did 2 offsets to my grandson's name, so it's actually like 3 layers of his name. I should do a video of how to clean your workstation, because I don't know how many times I've cleaned this workstation. Okay, so black, brown, and a bronze metallic that I used for his name. And I should have cut over twice on this brown metallic because it was hard to read, so I had to cut off each letter individually, so that I'm able to trim off the excess, or weed off the excess of the metallic. So I'm going to put my first layer. So what this is I did metallic, and then I did 2 offsets on top of that, or under that, which is the brown and the black. So I'm doing those one at a time. I'm laying them on the cup one at a time, making sure I get all the air bubbles out here. And how you get the air bubbles out is you use your weeding tool, pop the bubbles, squeeze out the air, and then I put my brown on top of it. So now I'm weeding out the last layer, which is this bronze metallic. It's got some texture to it, but I'm weeding them out letter by letter, and I'm gonna put them on the cup letter at a time, and making sure all my letters are on straight. If you use this kind of material, please remember either to change your settings on the Cricut so that it cuts deeper, I guess is the right word for it, or run it through the Cricut again. I didn't do either one, which is why I had a little trouble weeding it, and I had to do it letter by letter. But I'm placing them on the cup here, and making sure all my letters are straight. Got my washi tape. I'm checking over everything, making sure the glue is cleaned off really good, and I'm putting my label. I have a little label for Lulu Ladybug Creations that I've made, and I'm putting my label. I need to make a new label actually, because you couldn't really tell unless you're actually looking at it really good that it has my logo, my little ladybug logo. But anyways, I thank y'all for being with me to the end. Here are pictures of the finished touch of my cup, my grandson's cup. And I really love the way it came out. After all the hell it put me through, I really love the way it came out. So y'all be sure to like and subscribe, and follow me on my other social media pages. Thanks.